The next thing that I need to try with this is to see if I can get the hot end to work with the ramp electronics, or the ramp's electronics, and get rid of the board in here that's controlling this, because it does not like to run long periods of time without interruption. It's made for handheld projects, not for an actual long print. If I look at an actual hot end with the heater and thermistor on it and use a meter, I can see that my thermistor is about 111 k ohms at room temperature, and my heater is 3.7 ohms. Now if I duplicate that for my 3D printing pen hot end, I get about 100 and some K on my thermistor. Keeps going up because I was holding it in my hand, so it's probably going to be about 100, 110, close enough for what we want to do. And my heating element is about 9.6 ohms, about 3 times larger than what I had on my actual E3D V6 clone. So I was worried that I was going to put too much current through this and burn it out, but it's 3 times the resistance, so that really shouldn't be a problem. And my thermistor's right about the right value, so I think we can just connect this directly up to the ramps board. Now when I say directly, I mean I still have to get the other half of this, that black piece in there, out of the pen and get it unsoldered off of the control board so that I can get that out of the way. Alright, so I've got my wires soldered into that connector and my hot end plugged back in, and sanity check looks good. Everything measures the same as it did before. Alright, so I've got the pieces back together, the hot end back together. That's in place. The force of the Teflon tube is enough to hold that in place, so it's not going to go anywhere, even though the board's not holding that connector in place anymore. I've got my wires run, ready to connect back up to my ramps board. Right, I've got my thermistor wired to the board. I've got my power wired to my output, and as a sanity check, I've got Printerface, maybe, come on, looking at this, and it's running 25 degrees. It's running a little warm, which is what I'd expect for the TC being a little bit, or thermistor being a little bit lower value, but I can work around that. So I'm going to start ramping this up slowly just to make sure everything works right. Well, I ramped this up pretty slowly at 25 degree increments, and it heats up pretty quickly and maintains its temperature very well at about 170, 175. It actually allowed me to push filament through, and that's about the melting temperature of PLA, so it actually may not be too far off. So 200 seems like a good value. I'm going to try a print. Well, I was being productive, but then cat happened. Don't eat my phone. Oh my goodness. Hey. Well, I had to do a little bit of tweaking on my extruder. I was over extruding pretty badly. But now that I've got that dialed in, this looks really good. This looks better than what I was getting before, quite frankly. I think maybe my hot end temperature regulation wasn't as good as the ramps board can do, as it's pretty solid right now. Had to slow it down a little bit. Just cannot seem to print at high speeds with little motors like this, which makes sense. You have the most torque at your lowest speed, so faster you go, less torque you have. But I'm super pleased with this. So now I don't have to worry about any kind of external electronics, keeping that pen electronics alive, and my printing is looking much better, so we'll see how it ends up. Alright, is my X-axis off? Yes, hilariously. It looks like it's double what it should be. I'll have to tweak that. I had it set once, and then I had to power cycle, and I forgot what the number was, so I guessed wrong. But having said that, I have put together kit printers that gave me worse results than this, quite frankly. It looks like I'm under extruding now. I need to work on my extruder value again. But it's consistent. It doesn't skip steps. It skips steps at the top because for some reason I had my top layer speed set faster and I didn't catch that, and so it was going too fast and it skipped some steps there. But otherwise, up until that point, fairly consistent. Looks like it's just got some mechanical sloppiness. You can see that on the edges, that it's just doesn't go to the same place every time. And quite frankly, I've got, this is my support right here, is this 1-inch standoff. And so there's some wiggle room here on this as it's moving back and forth and printing. So I'm confident that's the biggest problem I have. There's just too much leverage between the nozzle and where it actually connects to the Z-axis. But if someone wanted to use this to make parts to make a bigger printer or to build little figurines or something like that, it's quite possible. Again, this is not a pretty print, but it's a fairly strong print, and a lot of times that's really what I'm going for more than anything.